Hi. There was a trend going around recently where people were posting their pictures from 2016, the aesthetics, the vibes, what they looked like, the parties from 2016. And first of all, you can pry those pictures of me from 2016 out of my cold dead hands. Okay, none of those pictures will be getting resurrected. No one needs to see that. No. But I thought it'd be really fun to jump on this trend in a bookish way. I thought it would be such a fun experiment to read some of the books that came out in 2016. My reading tastes have changed just from last year. So you can imagine how different they are from 2016. But I thought it'd be really fun to revisit some books that came out in 2016 that I never read but were really popular, and just to be transported back into 2016, which to me felt like the last year that we were all carefree, we were all thriving. Me and my younger brother always talk about how the summer of 2016, that magic can never be replicated. That was one of the best summers of our entire lives. Anyway, that being said, I thought we could go over some of the popular books that were published in 2016 that I either have read or DNF'd. I won't be rereading in this vlog, but I thought would be fun to go over just to give you the ambiance and the atmosphere of what 2016 was like. To start off with a bang, A Court of Mist and Fury came out in 2016. And if we are talking about just the original trilogy, A Court of Mist and Fury is definitely my favorite out of the three. I will not be rereading that. Nope. Empire of Storms, which is the fifth book in the Throne of Glass series, also came out that year. Kind of crazy that she came out with two huge books in 1 year in two completely separate series. It Ends With Us came out in 2016. Yeah, if that gives you an idea of the romance genre back in 2016. Crooked Kingdom, the second book in the Six of Crows duology, one of my favorite fantasy duologies in the world. Iconic, legendary, no notes. Dark Matter by Blake Crouch came out. Love that science fiction book. The Hating Game came out in 2016. Again, that gives you where romance was back in the day. Oh my God. I will not be rereading that. I actually DNF'd that book the first time I read it. I will not be revisiting that. No, I will not. Bear Town by Frederick Bachman came out in 2016. What a moment in time. This is one of my favorite books ever. Such a great book. Full Tilt by Emma Scott came out that year. One of the only books to have ever truly destroyed me. Ooh, yes, I have this too. The Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata came out in 2016. Love this book. Monstrous Volume 1 came out that year. I love that graphic novel series, although I do still have to finish it. Yes, I do. Wolfsong by TJ Klune. This is the first book in a urban fantasy romance series that is one of my favorite series of all time. So fantastic. And finally, Kim Ji-young, born 1982, came out in 2016. Another feminist revolutionary book that came out in 2016. So that is all of the popular books that came out in 2016 that I wanted to share with you that gives you the vibes of 2016. Now we're gonna jump into the books that are on the list of possibilities for me to read for this vlog. These are books that are popular as well and ones that I haven't read that I want to. I'm definitely not going to get to all of them. I'm going to see what's available at my library and choose from that, because I'm definitely not spending money on any of these books if I don't know if I like them. Sleeping Giants. I definitely want to read this. I think if it's available at the library, I'm definitely going to get this. Do I need to be starting a new sci-fi / fantasy series right now? No. When Breath Becomes Air, I know that's a very popular nonfiction book. Maybe I'll look into that. A Gentleman in Moscow came out in 2016, and this is a very popular book, and this author is very well loved, and I've never read anything by this author. So this might be the excuse that I need to finally read one of their books. Homegoing came out in 2016. Okay, this is a book I'm definitely going to read for this vlog because this is on my list of 100 books I want to read in my lifetime, and now I can finally pick it up and read it. Okay, The Score by Elle Kennedy came out in 2016, and I read the first book in this series. Is it The Deal? Okay, I didn't read it. I DNF'd it actually. And I DNF'd it years ago. But I think I do kind of want to give this a try just to live in the moment of what romance was like back in 2016. So who knows if I'll end up DNFing it, but I might give this one a try. Ooh, Small Great Things by Jodi Picoult came out in 2016. I think I actually do want to read this one because I've never read a Jodi Picoult book before, but the girl has written tons of books and people love her books. I see her books everywhere, in bookstores, in used bookstores, in thrift stores. There's always a whole shelf dedicated to Jodi Picoult. I want to know what the hype is. The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. I don't know if that's book 2 or 3, but it's in the Broken Earth trilogy. And I do want to finish that trilogy because I read the first book. I'd have to reread it for sure. And then I want to continue, but I don't know if I'll have time for that in this vlog. Every Heart, a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. This is definitely a book I want to read for this vlog. It's also really short, so that helps me. But I've never read anything by this author, and I know this is a very popular series that a lot of people love. I don't even know how many books there are now in this series, but they're short books, so it won't take too long. So I definitely want to add that to read in this vlog. The Woman in Cabin 10. Okay, I've never read a Ruth Ware book. This might be the first one that I read. Nevernight by Jake Kristoff came out in 2016. That is a fantasy series that I do eventually want to read. Not for right now, but I just wanted to mention that that did come out. One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I don't know if I'm in the emotional space to read a Taylor Jenkins Reid book right now. Then we have The Paper Menagerie by Ken Liu, who's one of my favorite fantasy authors. I think is this a collection of short stories? I think it is. Yeah, I'm not really in the short story mood right now, but... And the last book, which I think I'm going to add to the list of books that I want to read for this vlog, is Pucked Over by Helena Hunting. I haven't read a Helena Hunting book in years, and I think this will really embody the romance vibes of 2016. So I definitely want to add this and The Score to the books that I read for this vlog. I just think it'll be fun to visit the OG romance books. Oh my god, you guys, I just looked up popular food trends from 2016, and one of the things was Sushi Rito. I forgot the cultural significance of Sushi Rito. I was obsessed with Sushi Rito. I don't even think they exist anymore. Okay, they still have a location in San Francisco. Oh my god, I am dead. Okay, it says poke was really big in 2016. I've always loved poke. Should we go get some poke? I feel like we should go get some poke and then dive into some of these books. I think that's what we're gonna do today. I think we're gonna get some poke, and then I'm gonna download some of the books on my Kindle. I don't know if you guys can tell by the way that this video is structured right now, but this is obviously very spontaneous. I did not plan for this at all. Not the vlog, not what I was gonna do in this video. I just knew I wanted to read some books from 2016 and that was it. Everything else, I'm doing it as we go. Okay, so unfortunately, I have to stay home because we have a plumber coming in the house soon, and my parents are out in IKEA buying God knows what. So I have a DoorDash, unfortunately, but I got the poke and I got honeydew milk tea, love. Here is the poke. I got extra salmon because your girl... Do you think you're getting some? Do you think you're getting some? Oh, are you hungry? Like I didn't just feed you a banana. Okay. Anyway, so we've got the poke, no chopsticks. Got it. Let me go get some chopsticks. Okay, so here's the thing. On my Libby app, I have like 7 or 8 libraries because in California, you can sign up for library e-cards if you have a California address. Some libraries, some counties. So I was able to find both Pucked Over and The Score by Elle Kennedy on Libby through an ebook. I have it on my Kindle here. Yep, here I have The Score. Hold on, let me show you The Score. This is a crazy cover. Pucked Over. Now I don't know which one I want to read first. But is The Score in college? Does it take place in college? Hold on. It takes place in college. Yeah, I'm gonna have to return this because I don't want to read a new adult book. I'm so sorry to say. I just don't read new adult books anymore, so I am unfortunately going to return this. I can't, you guys. New adult, and it was written in 2016. Yeah, I'm going to have to return this. Sorry to say. Sorry to say, guys. So we're gonna read Pucked Over. Does this also take place in college, though? I didn't even, here's the thing about me doing this spontaneously. I did not read what any of these books were about. Okay, Pucked Over is about an NHL player. Thank God. That was a close one. Thank God. So yeah, I'm going to start pucked over and we're going to see how this goes. Oh, I love how they gave me no straw for this. They must have known that this was an Asian household and I have boba straws on deck. I also just realized that technically since there isn't any boba in here, I don't need a boba straw. I just need a regular straw, so. Oh. Oh. Oh! Okay. Okay. That's a pretty big hole. Oh, that's so fucking good. I got honeydew milk tea. Ugh, I love honeydew. Also, I do want to mention my library had a bunch of the books that I wanted to read physically at my library location. So I put, I think like 6 or 7 books on hold. I'm definitely not going to get to all of them. I just wanted to give myself options, you know, since I'm such a big mood reader. But the library is closed today. So hopefully by tomorrow or Tuesday, I can go and pick up the rest of the books. Okay. I don't know how long I'm going to make it through this book, you guys. Okay, first of all, I do have to mention I am going to put spoilers in this vlog. These books came out in 2016, so, you know, I have no problem putting in spoilers, okay? We're starting with a prologue from Lily's point of view, who I'm assuming is the female main character. The first 2 lines of this book, okay? Someone says, I have a brown belt in karate. Another person says, and I have a black belt in kicking your fucking ass. What in the Wattpad? These are the words that keep repeating in my head over and over, along with Randy's promises. I can take your mind off your problems if you want. I bet a few orgasms will make you forget all about that dick face ex of yours. Want to find out if I'm right? Okay. I don't know how long I'm gonna last with this, you guys. I really don't know. I might end up hate reading this if I don't DNF it. We'll see how long I last. I can't believe these next words are going to come out of my mouth. I recall with startling clarity my introduction to NHL superstar Randy Balls Ballistic, the newest addition to Chicago's team. There's no way. There's no way that this guy's nickname in this book is going to be Balls. I'd been camping in the northern Canadian wilderness with Benji, my jerkwad boyfriend. Girl, if you have to refer to your boyfriend as a jerkwad, why are you with him? I also needed to tackle the mess that was my fur burger. Before the trip, I'd cancel my appointment with my waxer. Okay. Yeah. She's at her best friend's brother's cottage and she's in the bathroom trying to shave her cooch. And some hot guy walks in as she's naked and shaving her cooch. Her boyfriend calls her a bitch. What am I reading? What the fuck is happening? All right, I just finished the prologue and that was fucking brutal. Yeah, thank God we have progressed in our hockey romances, you know? I can see how this was a standard or popular in 2016. It truly is giving Wattpad, you guys. And listen, 2016, Wattpad was still here. I read better books on Wattpad than this. I don't know what the slop is, but yeah, I'm gonna have to call it here. I'm not reading the rest of this. Continuing to read this book would be self-harm. Okay, so I'm simply not gonna do that to myself. So this vlog is already off to a great start. Okay. Okay, oh my god, the sun, Jesus. I didn't realize that every book that I put on hold was a hardcover. Oh my god. I have 6 hardcovers in my bag right now. That's fucking insane. But let's go home and decide what I'm actually going to read for this vlog, because, I mean, you guys know we are not off to a good start with those first 2 books that I made a feeble attempt with. But hopefully one of these will be better. Here is the stack of books from 2016 that I got from the library. We have The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. I'm definitely going to get to this ASAP. This is the first book I think I'm going to actually complete. Given our track record, we'll see. And then I definitely also want to get to Every Heart, A Doorway by Shauna Maguire, because this is fairly short, so I'm sure I can get through this very quickly. And then I have A Gentleman in Moscow, and I do want to read this eventually. I just don't know if I'm in the mood to read it now, but we'll see how I feel after I read a couple of these books first. Then I got Small Great Things by Jodi Picoult. I actually have no idea what this book is about, truly. So I'm going to go into this completely blind. And this one I do know what it's about, and I definitely want to get to this for sure as well. This is Homegoing. Heard some really amazing things about. This hardcover has deckled edges. I hate deckled edges. It's fine. And then the last book I have is Sleeping Giants. This is the first book in a trilogy. I believe this is a sci-fi trilogy. So the fact that I'm even attempting to possibly start a new series, I don't... When I tell you this is so fucking spontaneous, you guys. But we're here. We're here. I'm thinking of getting the audiobook and listening to this while I physically read. I'm in the mood for a mystery thriller book. I know this is very popular. I feel like this is going to give me really old school thriller vibes, and we will see if this ends up
a better experience than the first 2 books.
Guys, this vlog might be a fail. What the fuck is this? Mind you, I'm only on chapter 5 and I'm only 35 pages in, and I already really hate this, and I want to completely DNF it because the main character is not making any sense. Essentially, our main character is at home. She wakes up and she notices that her bedroom door is closed, and she never usually closes that, so she thinks it's her cat that has managed to close it. She goes out into the living room or her kitchen, and there's a burglar in her house, and he has a mask on, hoodie on, and she fixates on the fact that he's wearing gloves, right? She runs from him and he locks her back in her bedroom, and she has to use a nail file and some convoluted way to scrape through the lock and free herself. All he steals is her bag and her phone in the bag and all the stuff that's in her bag. He just takes it and leaves. Okay, kind of weird that a burglar would break into your home to only steal your bag. Okay. She runs to her neighbor. She calls 911 from her neighbor's house because her phone was still on, but they can't do anything about it. I mean, she doesn't know what he looks like. All he took was her bag. There's no incriminating evidence for them to go off of, so she's kind of shit out of luck there. So she's a travel journalist. She's 2 days away from going on a luxury cruise in place of her boss, who was supposed to go, but her boss is on maternity leave. And it's supposed to be a luxury cruise where they see the northern lights. She's having nightmares, can't go to sleep, so she goes and walks over to her boyfriend's house. He is gone away because he's a correspondent for the news, so he covers really big, huge current events happening in other countries. She falls asleep in his bed, and he just so happens to come home, and she's screaming in terror from a nightmare, And then she wakes up because he like shakes her awake. She accidentally like punches him in the face because she's like in a nightmare and thinks someone's grabbing her. They end up going to the hospital to get him all fixed up, and like everything is just so choppy. It's like she gets burglarized, then she can't sleep, and then she goes to her boyfriend's house, and now they're at the hospital. It's like nothing is seamless. It's all just one scene. And then this is the part that really did me in. Her and her boyfriend are talking, and I guess he was in Ukraine and he's always gone or traveling for his job. But also, so is she. She's a travel journalist. But literally, he takes 10 minutes to comfort her and be like, I should have been there. I'm so sorry. And then completely pivots the conversation and is like, when are we going to move in together? Like, this wouldn't have happened if you and I had lived together. And she was, and in her inner monologue, in her narrative, she's like, I'm not ready for that. I don't know why he keeps pushing me to move in with him. Do we think he staged a burglary to scare her into moving in with him? I don't know. Men these days, you never know. Even back in 2016. Okay, anyway. And then she ends up comforting him because she punched him in the face and he's hurt and he can't handle it, even though she just got robbed. And then all of a sudden at the end of the chapter, literally these last like few lines here, he goes, I said no to a job back in New York. I turned it down for you. And it just ends it there. Just drops that in her lap out of nowhere. And I'm like, what am I reading? What? Yeah, and then the next chapter is the next morning. She's about to leave for her trip. She wakes him up with some coffee. He says again, I should have been there. And then she says, well, you weren't. You never are. And she gets mad at him, basically saying, even if I did move in with you, you would never be home. So what would I be doing? Why would we need to move in together? Okay, valid, fair. But also, what are we doing here? What does this conversation have to do with the plot that is about to happen on the boat? We haven't even gotten to that part yet. And like these couple troubles, I'm like, I don't care. It just keeps jumping. Like I'm getting whiplash. She woke him up with a cup of coffee and they're hugging and it's all nice and sweet. And then all of a sudden he says, I should have been there. And she snaps and says, well, you're not. And I'm like, what? I'm already over this book. Like, I don't even care what happens. Genuinely, I don't care to get to the mystery of it all. I really don't. I think I'm going to call it, guys. I think I'm going to DNF this. I do not care for this main character or what's going to happen, genuinely. The writing just keeps jumping to and from a different conversation. Yeah, I genuinely do not care. I'm calling it quits with The Woman in Cabin 10. 2016, girl, what are you doing to me? Maybe we need to leave 2016 alone. That might be what the conclusion is to this video, is that we need to leave 2016 alone. So I'm putting this book down. Wow, 2016 has me beat. Guys, when I tell you it has been a week since I filmed anything for this vlog because I have been sick as a dog. I still have a residual cough. Holy shit, after Super Bowl weekend, I literally have been on my deathbed. I have been out of commission. I had a high fever. I was dizzy. I was coughing. I had the worst headache of my life. I've just been sick this entire week. So I've barely done any reading. I think in the month of February, I have literally only read 3 books, which that's never happened to me before. So I really need to catch up on reading in general, but also reading for this vlog. Today, I'm going to start Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi. Did I pronounce that correctly? And I'm excited because I have a feeling this is going to be probably the only book out of all of the books I read in this vlog that I'm genuinely going to enjoy. I don't have a great track record. The bar is pretty low. Even if this ends up being just okay, it's better than everything that I've read thus far. I'm excited. I've wanted to read this for a really long time. Okay, there's a proverb at the beginning of this book. Right here. It says it's an Akan proverb, A-K-A-N. It says, the family is like the forest. If you are outside, it is dense. If you are inside, you see that each tree has its own position. I love that. I love that. We are off to a great start so far. Okay, I just started the audiobook and her name is pronounced Yaa Gyasi, which I would never have gotten from the spelling. So I'm glad I heard the right pronunciation. Okay, I do have some quick updates because I am about 40% into homegoing. And okay, we are finally looking up in this vlog because this is fantastic so far. I mean, I knew it would be, but I'm just happy to finally be reading a good book and actually be making my way through a book that I know I'm going to finish. It's a multi-generational story that follows one family, but it starts with these two half-sisters. One is Efia, who is the daughter of a chief in a village in 18th century Ghana. Efia gets married to a white man who is basically a trader of slaves. And she lives with this white, really rich Englishman in a estate called the Cape Coast Castle. And she doesn't know that in the dungeons of this castle are a bunch of slaves that her husband has bought, and they are basically transferring them out of Africa into the countries that they're being bought at, Europe, America, you know the gist. And she doesn't know that one of the slaves in the dungeon underneath her own 2 feet is her half-sister Essie. And Essie obviously is a slave. She gets transported to America. So you follow both of their lives and you follow how these two, given completely different circumstances, have gone in totally different directions in life, and the effects that it has on their children, their children's children, and so forth and so on. I will say, because we are following multiple generations, the fact that we only get each character for about like 30 to 50 pages that's my biggest problem with it, is that I wish we got more time with each character, because now where I'm at following this current character, a lot of the previous characters that I've been spending all this time with have died. But it's also a reason why I'm not thoroughly connecting with it as much as I wish I was, because I'm not spending a lot of time with these characters. However, I will say every single one of their stories, devastating. Because on one hand, on Essie's side, they all end up being slaves. In Nefia's side, they all end up being in the business of trading slaves. And so you see two different sides of this terrible, terrible thing. But you see how both sides are still both stories of survival. You know, they don't have a choice, because their family business and the survival of their village is based on the business that they do with these traders for slaves. And you know, it's a dog-eat-dog world, and there's a lot of political warfare and constant fighting between other villages that are also trading slaves. And I didn't even think of that, like going back in history, that village chiefs would be part of the business of trading slaves. And so that's really devastating to see. And then on Essie's side, I mean, it's just her entire family suffering through being slaves. There are some really, really tough scenes in this. The author definitely does not shy away of the brutality of life as a slave and even the business of slavery. I do think this is a book that if you have not read yet, you need to get to it in 2026, babe. Like, this is such an important book to read, because it really does give you such detailed accounts into what life was like as a slave, and also what life was like being in the business of slavery in that time. And it's fascinating, it's eye-opening, but it's also heartbreaking to see that so many, like millions of people, millions of slaves have died and had to go through this. I can't even describe how awful it is and how insane and evil it is. Our history books do not talk about the depth that it goes into quite like this book does. You know, we never, like in school, we never learned that, for example, Essie, when she is first brought into the dungeons, they are literally living, like clusters of them, literally living in their own waste. Fecal matter, all these different body liquids. Some of them are sick. It's very graphic, by the way. They're just living in their own sick for God knows how long, until they're bought, basically. And it's horrifying. Horrifying. Those details, not in any history books, babe. Not in any history books, let me tell you. I definitely think this is an educational book, and it's, you know, really driving home the point of how awful and just how history written by white men just overlooks everything. Yeah, this is very powerful, very, very impactful, and the writing is fantastic. Like, I am hooked with every character, which is why it makes it so hard when we have to move on to the next character, knowing that I will not be with that previous character ever again. I will know bits and pieces of what happens to them, but I won't know everything about their lives, and it kind of sucks. So that's one thing that I wish was a bit different in this book, was I wish we were following more of each character. I mean, the writing is, I can't even compare it to what I previously have read in this vlog. Like, it does not compare at all, but it's really, really good. So I'm gonna read more of this tonight. I'm hoping I can finish it either by tonight or tomorrow, but oh my god, this is incredible, and I'm so glad I picked this up for this vlog. And thank god, if everything else I read sucks after this, at least I found one great book from this. So 2016, you did your thing with this. You really did your thing with this. Hi guys, so I did in fact finish Homegoing. Wow, okay, devastating. The writing in this was incredible. I cannot believe this is a debut novel and that it took me this long to read it, because this was incredible. 4.5 out of 5 stars. Again, the only reason why it's not getting a 5 stars is because I genuinely wish we had got more time with each character. I felt like every time we moved to a different character, I was like, no, I want to read what happens to this character. But that's just how good the writing was. I felt so deeply for each and every character. And this book goes through 7 generations of 2 separate families. That's a lot of characters, okay? And that's a lot of stories. And some of them, well, okay, most of them were fucking heartbreaking as shit. And I genuinely cannot believe this is a debut novel. This feels like a novel written by someone who has been writing for 60 plus years. Absolutely incredible. Such gripping writing. Again, the characters felt so real. Their struggles and the turbulence of their lives. You felt every single moment. And you see how so much of what happened in the beginning trickles down to generation after generation. And it's just incredible. And the way that it all ties together at the end. Wow, 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 wow. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. We found a winner from this heinous vlog so far. I'm so happy to have finally read this. This was amazing. I highly recommend. If you are looking for a family saga, look no further, babe. This is so good. And I definitely want to read everything else that this author has written, because I know that they have a few more books and I need to read everything. I'm determined to keep this high going, okay? I was going to read Small Great Things by Jodi Picoult next. However, I read the synopsis and the main character is Ruth Jefferson, who is an African-American nurse. She is a labor and delivery nurse. She has to do a checkup on a newborn. The parents are white supremacists and don't want her to touch their child. Complications happen, and then she's charged with a serious crime, and her attorney is white. I'm reading this synopsis and I'm like, oh, I didn't know Jodi Picoult was black, because her main character is a black character. No. She's not. So I was like, I feel like reading this right after this is crazy. After having just read this, it just feels totally wrong to read this. So I'm not going to, okay? And that's a choice that I'm making, all right? The next book that I am going to read from 2016 is Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. This is fairly short, so I'm sure I'll be able to get through this in a day or two. It is only, how many pages is this? Only 169 pages. I have a feeling this might be the last book in this vlog because, guys, I cannot take any more of 2016. I'm so happy that this is short, because anything longer than this, and I don't think I have it in me. I'm going to read this. Hopefully it's good. Like I said, this is going to be the last book in this vlog because I'm done. You know what I mean? Like I've had it. Hoping we end on a good note here, okay? Okay guys, I have finished Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna McGuire. I loved this so much. I was not expecting for this tiny book to take me to a completely different world. This is everything I love about fantasy. In this book, in this world, there are a bunch of children who go missing for what seems like a few days, but in actuality, they are taken upon a journey because they find these hidden doors that only they have access to, and it takes them to all these different worlds, very similar to Narnia. And while they're in these worlds, there's a mix of very like whimsical fantasy with princesses and castles and quests type of worlds, and then there are more darker, gruesome worlds. They're there for years in like what they're experiencing, but back home they're only missing for a few days. So time is different in these worlds, and not every world that these children go to are the same. For example, there's one character who goes to a land with all these skeletons. There's another character who goes to a land where they were a princess. And then our main character that we follow here, she went to the land of the dead. So each world is very different, but the experience that all the children have are pretty much the same across the board. And in these worlds that they're taken to, they feel like they have come home. They feel like they are seen, they feel understood there, they feel like this is a place where they belong. For different reasons, the children end up leaving those worlds, and now they're back in their real world with their families. They are not the same, obviously. They have experienced a completely different magical world that exists only to them. To their families, they seem crazy because they're talking about these fantastical worlds and magic and these things that don't exist. And so their parents send them away to a boarding school called, what is it called? Eleanor West's Home for Wayward Children. And Eleanor is sort of the principal owner of the school, and she has access to the door of the world that she has been going to for years. And she takes these children in because she knows what they're experiencing and basically helps them move on. Because there are times where doors only open once for children. Sometimes they'll open multiple times, but her job is to make sure that the children go to therapy, accept what happened to them, and find a way for them to move on. A lot of these kids still want to go back to these worlds that they might not ever have access to again, and they have to somehow assimilate back into regular society. And this Wayward School is helping them achieve that. Like I said, our main girl, Nancy, she went to the land of the dead where there were certain rules. The way of living was very different, obviously, but she wants to go back so bad. She, and a lot of the kids in the school do, they want to go back to the magical world that they found a home in so bad. They hate reality. And honestly, I don't blame them. Half of the book is getting introduced to the world, the characters, the different experiences that these kids have had. And then the other half of the book is a mystery surrounding the deaths of some of the students. Like, why are these kids dying? Is there something bigger going on? I absolutely loved the setting of this book. I loved learning all the different worlds that these kids have went through. All the, like, it's so imaginative and creative, and it's so different than anything that I've ever read in fantasy in a really long time. It felt so unique. I love the characters. They're all very weird, and I love that. They embraced their weirdness, and each character was so unique because they experienced something that no one else had. You know, so they have their different quirks because of how they had to adapt in the society of the world that they were in. I loved it. The writing was fantastic. I was hooked. Like, I started reading this at the beginning of my shift for volunteering, and I did not stop until the end of my shift. And then I had maybe like 20 pages to go, so I went to my go-to boba spot and I finished the rest of it because I wanted to know what was going to happen. So good. Definitely a book you can read either in one sitting or one day. I was hoping that it was going to be good, but I was not expecting to love this as much as I did. For a short book, it packed such a punch. There was also lots of queer representation in this and a lot of diversity in this book. Amazing, fantastic. I'm torn between rating it a 4 to a 4.25. I don't know where I'm going to land on that. I'm leaning more towards a 4.25. If this was longer, if this was a full-length novel, this would have for sure been a 5-star, because if we had spent more time with these characters and more time in this world, it would have been a 5-star for sure. I don't have it in me to continue to read the rest of the series because I looked on Goodreads and there are 11 books in the series. I love you, Shauna McGuire, and this was great, but I'm not starting an 11-book series right now. This this was so great. This is a book, I think, this and Homegoing, I definitely, if I find it at a used bookstore or a thrift store, I definitely will buy a copy because I loved this so much. So good. Highly recommend if you haven't read this yet. This felt so whimsical and just so cozy too. And yeah, this was fantastic, amazing. And that concludes this reading like it's 2016 vlog. I'm so happy we ended on a good note. This was a journey, you guys, and you know, you've been here with me. This was a fucking journey. Oh my god, I'm so glad to have found at least 2 books that were good. I'm so glad to have found any book that was good from this vlog because it was looking bleak there for a hot minute. But this was so much fun. If I had more time and if I had more tolerance to read more books from 2016, I would keep going. But guys, I'm gonna end it on a good note, on a high note, and we're gonna end it here. Okay, we're gonna call it here. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this journey. It's been so much fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.